are the first ever live reaction therapy podcast. I am your resident psychotherapist, Tom Stevens.
And I am not.
With Nick Stevens, who runs the show. I'm going to let him take over, but I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. It's great to see you. If you have questions about mental health, we're going to scrap what we have on tap and we're going to go straight to your questions. I'd love to talk to you about what you want to talk about, what you want to say. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. This is an open forum for you. We have never done this, and we are doing it tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. We're going to start it out. I'm going to press the record button because I want to be able to post this later for people who want to come back to this and watch it because, you know, I just don't trust the live streaming thing. Sometimes things get blocked for some reason, so I want to be able to post it back later so people can go and watch it. So we're going to get started here, and we're just going to start it in. We're going to do just like we do at the beginning of our podcast. Welcome back to the reaction therapy. We're going to do it just like that.
Oh, wow.
End it just
I
the same.
jumped the gun, didn't I?
What?
Because I went ahead and just jumped right into it.
Yeah, it's okay. You were starting up the live stream. But, okay, we're going to go into it right now. So I am pressing the record button, and then you're going to go. And we're just going to go.
I'm going to go. Wait, let me turn my cup. There we go. Got it.
Ready?
Ready.
Recording now. Go ahead.
Hey there, it's Tom Stevens, your resident psychotherapist, back from reaction therapy for another podcast edition with my son. Let me start that over. Can I start that over?
Guess you can. This is behind the scenes.
Nothing like
cool.
live being on the spot, y'all. Hey, it's Tom Stevens, your resident psychotherapist from Reaction Therapy, here for another edition of the Reaction Therapy podcast with none other than Nick Stevens. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this. A lot of questions will be answered hopefully tonight, and
it's our first
a lot of other stuff
ever live edition of the Reaction Therapy podcast. You're going to see something a little different today because we are going to be interacting with people who are live with us right now. If you're watching this after it's already been recorded, you're going to see questions that come up. You're going to hear discussion, and we're going to be talking to people that are actually watching live. So the next time we do it, be here because it's exciting, fun time. Nick, what do we got on tap?
You know what? We're going to start out a little controversial.
Controversial.
Controversial. I said that wrong. We're going to start a little bit controversial. We're going to talk about the little Target not mishap. I shouldn't call it a mishap. The little Target video we made. Last night as we're recording this video, we released a Target video.
What did you call it? A Target what? I
called it a mishap.
Mishap.
But I don't know why I wasn't thinking. Okay? This is live.
Start over.
I'm not starting over. This is a live podcast. I can't start over on a podcast. I accidentally said something. It's whatever. So we're going to talk about the Target video. Tom reacted to the boycott Target video. If you haven't seen it, it's not that easy to find, believe it or not. But you can find it by looking up boycott Target on YouTube. Tom reacted to it, and he got a lot of feedback.
If you put boycott Target reaction, I think we pop up pretty quick.
Yeah, there's not too many people who've done it.
Stevie and I did it.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that. What have you seen from your commenters on the video? Like what's kind of the general feel? How did you think you did in the video? And just anything else you want to say?
First of all, I want to say before we get into that, thank you to everybody who is live here with us tonight, watching. Honestly, it is cool to have a live crowd. We are going to answer your questions. It's cool to have people who are interested in mental health and here to talk about everything we got going to reaction therapy. So thank you so much for showing up live. When it comes to that reaction, the boycott Target video, you know, honestly, we do reactions for two reasons here at Reaction Therapy, for the most part. Number one, they are requested videos that come in from people and they're like, hey, you should try this, you should try that. Number two, it is because they are trending videos. Like they're just like every Friday, we do New Music Friday. They're trending videos that are high on the charts, of which this video was #1 above every single other pop artist, hip hop, R&B that there was out there. And really there's third reason, isn't there? That if we see something or I do that's mental health focused that I want to do, doesn't matter how popular, I will want to put that out too. So there's really three reasons. Number one, that it is requested. Number two, that it's actually trending and we need to watch it because it's a popular thing and everybody's watching it. Number three, that it's mental health focused. That fell into one of these categories, and that's why I did it. And I honestly wasn't sure. After I watched it, I was very sure this was going to be an issue. And an issue meaning that a lot of people were going to respond, which, by the way, I love responses. I don't take things personally. The only time I have trouble is when people misinterpret or take what I say and judge me for it personally as a person. I try not to tread in ground that I don't know about, but when it comes to ground I do know about, I try to speak a voice because I feel like it is my part in the world to do that as a mental health professional. So I couldn't believe there were that many comments coming out, honestly. I thought the video would kind of maybe get 1,000 views or something and then it would die off. But today, the trend on it is only going higher and people are watching it. And there are a bunch of comments on that
There are
video.
a bunch of there's about 150 comments on it and
already in one day
compared to about 200 something likes. So the comments are way up, and
Which
I think
is great. I love it.
It's cool because it sparks a conversation, and we never want to act like we're trying to hate on anybody. We just like to have conversations, mental health conversations. So I think it was a great thing we did. I don't feel bad for putting it out. For those people that said you're gonna turn a lot of people off, it's like that's not what we're here to do. Like if people don't like it, that's okay. Like
we're really not here to do that. Like we're here to spread mental health. And sometimes, like I said in one of my comments, like some people think I like knew this group or had seen it before. I didn't know who these people were. I had never heard of them before. I actually just saw that they were trending and that it was about Target, and I thought, that'd be interesting. And then number two, I don't, when you look at like Dance with the Devil by Immortal Technique, you look at Kim from Eminem, these are songs, you look at, what was that other one? Insane Clown Posse. Like there are songs I've listened to that I don't know these going in. So I really don't know what I'm getting into until I get into them. And it's a first time reaction. So obviously we are not 100% like in the know of every video we look at, but I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Hope everybody's doing good.
Before we get to all of y'all's questions,
we can talk about that too, by the way.
We can if y'all have questions about it. Let's start out with like some mental health topics. So do you want to, I don't know where you want to start.
I've had so many comments, questions, or suggestions when it comes to the podcast that I thought I want to do a live podcast so I can get people on and asking about something right away. A lot of it comes up with personality disorders, mood disorders, addictions, those kind of things. And I thought, well, that's good because we can talk about that. I'm not an expert in everything. I know there are a lot of myths when it comes to the mental health field that I thought about talking about because so many people just lump the mental health field all together. And they think because I'm a mental health professional that I prescribe medication, that I do a certain kind of therapy or whatever. We're not all the same in the mental health field. You have counselors, which are grassroots therapists that actually do the counseling on the issues that you've got, the talk therapy and the other techniques. You've got psychologists that are PhDs that do, they are doctoral level educated and they do a lot of testing. They can do counseling too, but they do a lot of testing. And then you've got MDs, which are medical doctors, and they have an advanced degree beyond that they do medication. That's the psychiatrist that we talk about. So there are different levels of it. And also that all mental health treatment is not the same. Just because you see one counselor is not the same as another counselor, okay? Everybody's different. Everybody has different training and different skills and different expertise. And so my knowledge is not vast enough to know everything. I just have the 28 years that I've done this and the people I've seen, the studying I've done, the mentoring and the learning that I've done that's gone with it. But generally speaking, what I thought would be highlighted tonight would be like mood disorders, personality disorders. And the mood ones are like the depression, the seasonal affective disorder. Anybody heard of that? SAD, SAD. A lot of people have talked about that before. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I haven't. There's a comment. I know we're going to get to questions later, but this might be a good one. We can go off of what you're thinking, but somebody asked, what about anxious attachment disorder?
Oh, we can go into attachment disorders. Yeah, I mean, oh boy, this could be a really long podcast, which maybe we need to do it again. But different attachment disorders when it comes to anxious, when it comes to avoidant, when it comes to dismissive attachments, yes. So if there's a specific question towards that, I'm happy to answer that. If it's what is an anxious or what do you do about it?
Let's talk about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because those different attachment styles that you learn early in life, and this is going a little off topic. Let me just finish real quick on the other ones, because when it came to the mood ones, I was talking about depression, bipolar, SAD, When it came to personality disorders, you're talking about OCD, like obsessive compulsive disorders. You're talking about borderline personality. You're talking about narcissism that fits into those type of things. There are different categories of things to do. And when it comes to addiction, there's a bazillion of them, right? I was trying to list them off in my head last night, and I was thinking, okay, there's food, there's alcohol, there's gaming, there's drugs, there's sex, there's gambling, there's exercise, there's self-harm. Then I started writing them down. There's money, spending addiction. There are a bazillion different kinds of addiction. So that falls in its own kind of category that we deal with. And I did learn last night, I didn't know this. You'd think I would, being in the mental health field. The borderline personality is not actually looked at it as much that way anymore. It's now EUPD, which is emotionally unstable personality disorder, which is very interesting. Because borderline goes back to the old days, and everybody's like, why is it borderline? And they would
Like,
kind of
what are you on the border of?
Because, well, that was what it was. A long time ago, they said it's kind of the border between, what was it, psychosis and neurosis or something, the way you think, the way you act.
Interesting.
And it's no longer seen that way, I guess, is the key. So I guess this new way is a way of kind of softening that and making it a little bit more accurate. So onto you wanted to hear about the anxious attachment?
Well, I just saw a comment and I thought it would be kind of similar to
when
some of the
people
stuff
develop an anxious attachment. I'll do the adult version, not why it happened, but when you have an anxious attachment that you've kind of developed in your life, you tend to be very insecure in relationships. Now, this is labeling. Please don't take this as every single person in the world. It's a generalization tonight. This is not real therapy. It's just Tom talking about mental health. But anxious attachment means if you're in a relationship and you're not sure the other person's like super in love with you or really likes you, you're always asking questions of them. Are you okay? Is everything okay? You want to talk? Anything I can do? You're always kind of worried when they go away a little bit. They may not even be like wanting to leave the relationship, but you can always be worried about whether or not it's okay, whether it's your fault, whether you've done something wrong, whether you need to do something else. So that's the anxious piece. Okay. And those are typically formed from all of these attachment styles are formed early in life when you're a baby. And if you are loved, cared for, oohed, awed over, cuddled, taken care of, all the needs met, then you develop trust and your attachment becomes secure. If it's ever insecure, where you can't trust it, that's where you get just varying levels of attachment or connection from adults and grown-ups in terms of love. It might happen one day, it might not happen the next. If you feel a burden of responsibility, like it's your fault, you are the one who's messing things up, that's what's going to develop an anxious attachment for you. Then there's dismissive attachment, there's avoidant attachment. There are different kinds of styles of that. But the anxious typically comes from you grow up and you feel like it's your fault, you couldn't be good enough, and you're always trying to please and always trying to make things okay.
Interesting. I have a comment from Mazen that I think works really well with this. Juice WRLD said he had a type of anxiety called detachment. Just kind of wondering is that what we're talking about or
not really? I mean, detachment is kind of where emotionally you learn to just not attach. You learn to like not really feel or care, concern. You might love people. I think you had a big heart. You just learn to not attach to other people and their emotions. And so you can look really distant. You can look uncaring. You can look unfeeling. And so that was how he dealt with his anxiety, I think is what that comment's saying. He would deal with his anxiety and his stress through just shutting down and detaching. So if I detach in a big anxious situation, it's kind of like I look like I don't care, but I really do. It's just the only way I know how to cope. Okay.
Interesting. Let's talk
Daniel.
about
Shout out green.
We can do it. Y'all watching are not going to make any sense after. Like if you're watching this way after, you're not going to know what we're talking about. But Adrian and Daniel, both longtime members
Good
for 10 months, almost a year.
Almost a year.
Adrian,
can't believe it.
Adrian said he's about to finish the 8 Mile reaction, which is on Patreon. If you want to see the full thing, it's on Patreon.
Whole movie.
Y'all can see that there. I hope we can figure out a way to do watch parties for YouTube videos and documentaries. That'd be cool.
You mean like do what I'm doing, but live? Is that
I guess.
what you mean?
Either
like
that, I don't know. Either that or maybe have like a live stream where we watch your reaction or something. I don't know. I don't know. That'd be cool. And then I have to shout out Daniel as well. He said, I've always supported the message Tom spreads and the meaning behind the channel. It's helped me a lot become a better person. Mental health matters.
Love me some
Awesome.
Daniel. Such a cool guy.
Yeah,
He really has
Daniel's
been a great
awesome.
supporter, and fire reactions and requests he gives.
Awesome.
But
Got us on the
cool
Suicide
dude, got
Boys.
us on the
and
Suicide Boys. Always cred to that.
we wouldn't have even known about them without Daniel.
Yeah.
So that's
Questions
awesome.
flying in. Nick's
right.
going to be keeping up with all the questions. We don't
Yeah.
have to stay with his
Y'all
outline.
are also
worry about that.
y'all are also gonna have to, if we don't get to your question, just comment it again if you can, because we're kind of going in somewhat of an order, but we're also gonna mix things in. I wanted to
Your
talk.
questions matter, though. We want to answer those.
Oh yeah,
tonight.
we definitely do. Really quick, I wanted to talk about, since it's like basically summertime now, it's a new season, and I know some people can, and we've talked about it on some of our podcasts before. Some people can have different moods when seasons change. That's kind of what you're talking about at the beginning. So with summer approaching, what kind of moods could people be kind of having? Like, I'm sure if summer's not a very fun time, like some people love school. Like, I'll shout out my roommate from college. He was awesome. He loved being at school, and that's one thing that some people love being at school. Some people don't. Some people like being at home. So I just wanted to ask kind of the question, what kind of moods people could be coming in summer.
It's a variety. Like, honestly, that's very hard to pinpoint because, somebody who loves summer and hates winter, there could be another person that loves winter and hates summer. Like, so I don't think there's necessarily a tie between. I mean, a lot of people would say, sometimes in winter it's dark, it's cold, and so depression can happen. There's just as many parents who can get depressed in summer because their children are home all the time, driving them nuts, and they don't feel like and it's hot, and they don't feel comfortable, and they just are staying inside all day. So I don't know that there's a tie to. I know there are different seasons and people's moods that happen. I'm not sure what you're saying about it.
Well, I mean, you have on our outline seasonal affective disorder. Which
Well,
I want to know what that is.
So SAD, seasonal affective disorder, is a general pattern. You could have just said that.
Well, I was trying to not say, hey, let's look at our notes here.
It's a general pattern of seasons. That's why I said we don't need to follow our notes. If we have questions on here with people, let's go to you.
Okay, let's
But
finish this out. We'll get to it.
seasonal affective disorder, I'm sure all of y'all know what it's about. It is a traditional pattern, meaning, say it's winter. You generally continue to get the same depressed mood each of that same season. If it's spring, if it's fall, it's summer. I mean, typically it's in the darker months, the sadder months, but it is a cyclical thing. So it's something you got to look out for, and you have to prepare for it, and you have to be ready for it, and not beat yourself up for it, but not let it overtake you. And so it is kind of one of those cyclical things, right? Where your mood can change during that same season every single year. And it's important to know that, because if you have that, it's just like depression. You have to know how you work with it. With depression, we all know the way to help and heal and cure depression is activity. It's not stillness, quietness, and curling up in a dark room. It's activity, it's movement, it's activating and involvement in the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some questions.
Nick's so good trying to cover my notes.
I'm trying to do my best to get to things.
Go back. Let's answer these questions.
Let's answer this question from Callie, longtime supporter. How does someone know an antidepressant is working well for them, and what if you don't really have depression?
Well, the way to know if it is working is that you are not overly drugged and you do not feel like nothing is happening and you're still in the same depressive state. The best way to look at medication is your body feels normal and you feel not like super pumped and life's awesome and I'm in such a good mood. It really isn't about that. The medication is supposed to balance out your chemicals. And when it balances out your chemicals, it lets you then see, hear, and do things differently. And so it's almost like, if you were going to give a speech in front of 1,000 people and you were freaking out and you were nervous and somebody gave you, for instance, like a beta blocker or something that helped your body still, which is something that would actually make the nerves calm. You're still nervous in your body, but you don't feel it. If they were able to do that, you could go give the speech and you'd be like, this is really nerve-wracking experience, but I feel like kind of okay. Like I can go give the speech. That's what you want to look for, is that, I feel pretty regular. I don't feel too up. I don't feel too down. And my mood's not going up and down. And therefore I feel more motivated to make change. I feel more motivated to do things, go for a walk, to do some exercise, to interact with people, to try to work on my own mental health. And so it's not about you being super up. It's not about you being super down. Your body just kind of levels out and you feel regular again and you want to work on yourself. That's why we say get on medication if it's needed, only if it's needed. Do therapy so that you can figure out what your issues are and what got you there. And then you can go down off the medication, hopefully is the goal, so that then you can regulate again. And once your chemicals are balanced, hopefully they can stay in. The chemicals get imbalanced again because the mood starts going all over. And sometimes that's your life situation. And sometimes it's because it's a chronic thing that goes on.
Gotcha.
And the second one was like, what if you don't
have depression?
If you don't have depression, the medication's not going to work. In fact, it'll have an alternate.
Don't really have depression. I guess.
Then you don't need the medication. That's why I'd like to do therapy before medication, just because the medication with any kind of mood issues and depression is going to take 2, 3, 4 weeks to level out in your system. And then you're going to have to see, was it the right dose? Is it the right kind? Is it working right? And if not, then you've got to change it, wait another 2 or 3 weeks. And it can be really hard to find the right medication. ADHD medicine, very different. In and out of your body same day. You're going to know if it works right away and you can switch very easily.
Okay. And is depression a lifelong disorder?
No. I mean, it can be. I wouldn't say never say never, right?
Like, so if, like, because I know there's people say that like addiction you'll have for the rest of your life. Like if you have a certain addiction that you always will have tendencies towards it. I don't know if that's the same for depression.
Once you're an addict, you're always an addict, which means it can be arrested. It can be recovered, where you can see people in addiction who recover that you could see them never having to worry about it again because they put such safeguards up in their life and they've become so healthy. Depression's the same way. You can have a tendency towards depression, but never have to experience it again the rest of your life. If you have good treatment and you put good kind of safeguards into place in your life, you can actually live without worrying about that again. It doesn't mean you won't get sad. Recognize the difference between being depressed and having clinical depression. They're very different things. People get depressed over anything, their job struggles, life struggles, somebody in your family passes away, you just are having a really hard time. That you can be depressed without being diagnosed clinically depressed. So recognize we get on medication a little too quickly in this world, or at least in this country. And we stay on it a little bit too long sometimes. And we have this issue with stacking medication where we take one and then another and then another and then another. And it sometimes can be an issue. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't speak to all of that. I just know from the clients I've seen that that's where they struggle. Okay. So with depression, mental health therapy does help.
Cool. Okay. Hey, Tom, I'm just wondering, I had firsthand psychosis. Now I'm all good, but even after 2 years, I still fear it and think about it almost every day. Any advice to get over it?
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, this is the PTSD type stuff. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just, again, you're going to hear me generalize on a lot of things to make it very simple and easier so it's not long-winded. But there is a triggering or a traumatizing effect when you go through a psychosis like that. And I don't know your story, but the general thing I would say is it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of therapy, maybe a little bit of EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It's bilateral stimulation of the brain that helps desensitize the brain to trauma, because you can worry about it. If you're in a car accident, a really bad car accident, you survive and do okay, you go through a similar intersection. If you hear the song on the radio that was playing when you were in the car accident, if you see the color car that hit you, like any of those, a year, 2, 5 years down the road can still bring you back. It doesn't mean it's horrible, but man, it's really hard when it comes to trauma and triggers. So my advice is just, number one, keep being conscious of that's not here. I'm in this place now. Yeah. Leave the room you're in, go to a different room and kind of just rebreathe a little bit, drink some water and say, okay, I had that feeling. I had that triggering response. I'm in a different place now. Have a therapist on hand just so you can call and go to if you ever need to. Literally, people meet me sometimes, have an initial session with me, and then don't see me for a year, 2, 5 years because they don't need to. But when they come back, I know them and I know their story.
Also, talking about that trauma, we did a podcast episode just on trauma. It's called What Triggers Your Trauma is what the title of it is. So go check that out because it's definitely, we talk more in depth about trauma. Yeah. There's a lot of topics that we've covered on our podcast that some of y'all maybe not, y'all haven't seen. So if you have any like questions about any kind of disorder. We've covered anxiety, depression, trauma, addiction. We've covered a lot of different topics on our podcast. So go, make sure you go check that out.
Tiny Ninja, good to see you. I'm literally now just seeing all the people that are here. Bizzle, good to see you. Ricky, good to see you. Just everybody.
I'm doing my
Callie.
best to.
I know
keep
you are.
going.
You're doing great. There's a lot.
Do you have any knowledge on fantasy attachment?
No, I don't. I'd be curious. You stumped me. But I'm a guy. I mean, I don't talk about what I don't know. To know what I don't know is so important. And if I don't know about it, I will tell you. I don't know about that. What it is? I'm guessing. I'm curious, like if it's about being attached to something that's not in reality here, or someone that's not in reality, and feeling that attachment, even though it's not actually literally here. But I don't know anything about that now.
Okay. So this is a BPD question.
Okay, and that I'm assuming you mean borderline personality
Yeah.
disorder,
Probably.
right? Spell those out for me, because when you do the letters, sometimes people mean different things. And I saw one on EDD from Callie. I'm not sure what she means by that. So tell me what it is.
EDD. Where's that?
It's probably real recent.
Okay, I'm not looking.
Yeah,
at
just go
I'm
down
trying to
your
look
list.
to see if, cause this was by Kat. I wanted to see.
Hey, Kat.
I don't know for sure. Okay, so the question is, if I can find it again, BPD question: Do visual hallucinations mean I'm getting worse or ready to face new things in therapy?
Do what hallucination? I'm sorry.
Visual
hallucination. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one to answer, just because it depends on whether those are actually positive and helpful and healthy, meaning you're okay with them, or do they spiral you and kind of send you backwards? So I think I would bring those into the person that I'm talking to, see what they mean, because sometimes I'll see people with that and it's actually holding them back. And other times I see people having that experience and they are ready to look at and face new things more. It really is within your own body. You're going to know yourself more, and whether or not it's a scary thing or not, and whether it's something that it's like, I think this is me wanting to face something, versus, ooh, I'm really getting triggered by this.
Cool. G Money, thank you so much for joining the supporters.
Hey,
We
thank
love
you.
to see that.
I love that.
And we got to answer your question now, since you just became a member.
Oh yeah, anybody who joins, first of the line.
Seriously. I think
Maybe.
I just gave 5
Nick
memberships as
gives
well.
5 memberships to 5 new people at Reaction
that just
Therapy.
Made me want to. That just made me.
That is so cool.
Right,
Kat, you get one. Beastie gets one. Cakey gets one. Kaylee, the real Tom Stevens.
Not you.
What? I'm not the real Tom Stevens. I should have gotten that account.
Not. All right.
Congrats, y'all.
So G Money, I'm going to do this. Do you have a pod on tackling social anxiety? I feel like that's the only thing holding me back professionally and personally. Physically, I feel like I'm going to implode in any social setting. You're preaching to me, because that's how I feel.
Let Nick speak personally about that.
You probably want a real therapist answer on that, but I'll give you my answer. I mean, I don't know that we've talked specifically about social anxiety. We definitely have talked about anxiety. So we have a podcast on anxiety. But for social anxiety specifically, how I try to attack it is like really trying to, how do I say this? Trying to put yourself in situations, for one, where you're going to have to be social, but also I've had help. I haven't had therapy because Tom's my dad, but I've
can't have therapy from your dad.
Well, I know.
Please be clear with that.
I know, but but he's helped me out.
You're talking about exposure type.
You're not even letting me answer the damn question.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm trying to answer the question for G Money. One of my friends, I call him G Money. Anyway, for me, what I try to do is, I've learned from my dad, my mom, they've helped me with this, is write down certain things to say. So if you're going out and you're meeting somebody, or if you're going to be in a group, depending on what the group is or who the person is, write down 3 things to say, just to have in your back pocket if things come up and you just get really awkward, because it always happens. Even the most social people will get awkward in conversations. It's not like the most social people all the time are just always with it. Like, They have awkward moments too. But I would say to have questions ready to go, like to know what you're going to say. So at least it gives you something to bring up. And a lot of times, if you're with another person, a lot of times if you ask them a question, especially like if you're a guy and it's a girl, like if you're going on a date with somebody, that's especially the time because girls like to talk is what they say. But just have questions ready because people usually like to answer questions and talk about themselves. And that's the biggest thing that's helped me in social settings is coming up with things to say so the pressure is kind of more off you.
Yeah, and kudos to Nick, by the way. If you go back to the beginning of reaction therapy and how much he's had to face that whole issue of social anxiety, which means I'm staring here into a camera of now what you would know as friends, a lot of friends and people that you know.
Yeah.
But it's still, you're getting zero feedback from people of whether they actually like you, laugh at you, think you're weird.
No idea.
And so you're having to build your own confidence. You have done a lot of that. Kudos to you, by the way. High five. And I think what I would tell most people is you have to look inward rather than outward. And so there are many people who are very social who still feel uncomfortable or out of their skin or kind of out of their comfort zone when it comes to things socially, but they show it differently. And so the best way to deal with any social anxiety is to recognize that you're not there for what you're going to get from those people backwards, whether they like you, appreciate you, understand you, think you're weird or funny or whatever. It's about what you're there to do. And so that's why I teach people to go in with a pocket full of questions or comments to people that could apply to anybody so that you're ready to start a conversation or engage with people no matter what. So the best way to deal with social anxiety is exposure. It's to be able to gradually get yourself in situations. And that starts literally with your mirror.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good to see that because your mirror is going to be the best teacher for you to watch your face and to see how you act and you pretend other people are there. The next is going to be, you could go to a TV screen and you could turn the volume down and you could talk to the people on the TV screen. As weird as all this sounds, they taught us this in therapy school. Like, learn to be empathic and understanding. And most people that get socially anxious quit looking at the people around them. They're so nervous about the fact that they're going to have to say something that they lose the conversation. I can't remember what we're talking about, or I don't even know what to say. And all I'm thinking about is I can't pull anything out of my body to say. So it takes a little practice. Groups help that. Different interactions on Discord or places where you can talk to people help. Yeah. Anything.
Also, like if I'll expose myself here because I still struggle with that. When I answer your question, I'll be honest, I probably wasn't looking at the camera the whole time, even though it's a literal camera that, you know, it's not a person, but I look off to the side sometimes because I get nervous or I want to think what I'm saying. So it's working on it because just like losing weight or gaining weight or whatever you're trying to do, it doesn't just happen overnight. Like it takes time after time working on it. Anyway, that was a long.
Yeah,
we have a ton of questions.
I like Ricky's comment about there are great books to read. Also, I do like that, Ricky. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That is good. The Carnegie book. Oh my gosh, yes, very good. It's How to Talk to Anyone by Larry King. Yes. Any books, podcasts. Literally practicing conversation when you're not with people can really help. And by the way, start with your friends and your loved ones. Practice having conversation. Like Nick and I could have a conversation where he could practice like doing things that he's not really comfortable with before going out into the world and do it. So people you love, people that are friends of yours, do that as well.
People that won't tear you down if you mess like, because there are people out there that are just not good people to practice on. Yeah, you got to find the people that will not judge you for what you do. Anyway, let's go on.
Pico Warps also has said that they've been doing. I've been desensitized to EMDR.
Yeah,
it's kind of techniques, not doing EMDR, but techniques, and probably part of me in a response on 5. By the way, you go to 5.me. I hope we can put that link up. 5.me/reaction therapy is our new platform for mental health. There are a lot of people who have joined that platform. And you can actually ask me questions, of which Pico Warps has done and is a part of, and I can give you answers and we can start a conversation back and forth. That's part of the EMDR Pico Warps is talking about, that you use a technique of bilateral stimulation. And there's a good book called Getting Past Your Past by Francine Shapiro that is good to check out for regular people anywhere. But when you do that, and they've said it's revealed things and also helped things. Yes, it's very normal. And it always helps to get help from somebody too. When you get a therapist that understands EMDR, they can walk you through some other ways to do it. I'm glad you tried that, but any bilateral stimulation or walking helps too. Go ahead, Nick.
Cool. I'm just trying to get to as many as I can.
Roll through 'em.
Okay. I'm very addicted to nicotine. I'm not, but this person is very addicted to nicotine. And I know it's the reason I feel so bad all the time, but I can't quit and it sucks. I don't know what to do because I feel so unmotivated to do anything.
Yeah. That's horrible. Nicotine is one of the hardest. The only thing that I've seen harder as far as a regular substance is vapes that are super duper hard to get off of. I've heard the withdrawals are terrible. But nicotine, it is one of those things where, you have to consciously put yourself around people and in situations where you are not so easily kind of pulled back into it. And you've got to find a replacement when it comes to nicotine. I mean, you've got to find something in the meantime. That the old standard, right, is chewing gum or something, or having mints or something like that. But you've got to have something with the oil fixation to be able to And I do think weaning off can help, whether it's with a vape or whether it's with nicotine gum, something that you've got to have something, because nicotine is super duper hard to get off of. But you've got to start a new routine or habit with it, which means getting off work and going for a walk, taking your lunch break and going for a walk instead. Don't put yourself in places where you would normally sit and smoke. Don't sit on your balcony or back porch where you would normally smoke after work. You've got to change what you're doing.
Okay. Let's go on. Adrian asks, how do you recommend encouraging a close family member to talk to a therapist? I feel like my niece could benefit, but she's so against it.
Give your own self-experience, if you have any, of like, you know what, tell about you. They teach you in 12-step programs with addiction. Like you are here to talk about yourself, not other people. Do your own therapy, not everybody else's. So you learn, you share your experience, strength, and hope. I would share your own experience if you have any. I would share that, what's really cool? I've watched a reaction channel on YouTube of this guy. He's actually a therapist and he reacts to all this crazy music. And he gives mental health stuff, and it's pretty cool. And it's opened my eyes to therapy being kind of normal. You would be shocked at the number of younger people who have watched reaction therapy and have found therapy to be tolerable now because they've seen what I've said. So anything you can do, a video, a podcast, a book, probably not a book if somebody's really turned off by it, but the experience people have. And usually, I've even had people say, I think it's so valuable that if you want to go, I would go with you your first time. Like I would go sit with you. If it's uncomfortable, you're not sure about it. I want to do anything I can to help. And and being able to see me online helps people a lot, right? Because they feel like they know me. And it's not this mystery, dude. People think they're coming in a doctor's office to see me with a white coat. I'm sitting behind a desk. It's nothing like what you think. But I would show them videos like that and say, this is kind of the person I'm talking about that would be a person you'd go see. And if it was that kind of person, would you be interested? So your own experience helps.
Cool. I'm going to run through some of these that aren't really questions, but I want to mention them. Callie said when she started ADD meds a year ago, it felt normal for the first time, but around 9 weeks into antidepressants, and I feel more tired and low than I ever did before.
It could be that the medication is not doing what it has been doing. So you want to check on that with the doctor and see, is it not having the same effect? Do we need to change the dosage of it? Do we need to change the medication as a whole? Sometimes people have to switch. And sometimes people need a reset. They need to get off and get back on something else, or get off and try to be off for a little bit just to breathe. But I usually see that as like, if there's no major life change, like something really big has happened, then it's usually a medication issue that it's just adjusted to your what do you call that? Your body, your system. I'm losing the word right now, but
okay. So this person, Jay, asks, how long will it take for your brain to get back to feeling normal after opiate abuse? Not opioid, it's OPIATE. I don't know what that is. I'll be honest. I know what opioid is. That
how long?
Thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long does it
take your brain to get back to feeling normal?
It really depends on the treatment you get. Like if you just stop and don't do any kind of treatment at all, like, mental health treatment, then it can take a long time. The typical is that when people start using it all of anything, you kind of emotionally and mentally are stunted at that point. If you really get into it when you're 15 and you stop using when you're 25, you kind of are still at 15 years old, and you have to go back and kind of grow that part of yourself to catch up. And it'll catch up. It's just harder to do. If you use for 2 years and stop, or you use for 20 years and stop, you're still going to go back to when you really started using. So the tendency would be, if it's a short period of time, a year or two, you can probably get back in I'm totally spitballing this here, but 6, 8, 10 months, depending on the treatment you get. It's not just naturally all of a sudden just going to flow back in. But if it's longer, sometimes it takes years. And that doesn't mean weekly therapy for years. It just means years of really working on yourself to get it back. So it really is helpful to get treatment when you get off of using mental health treatment, so that you can work through the issues that started the using to begin with, and get your brain back to working again, because the brain's got to deal with emotional issues. And if you started using at 15, they're not emotionally totally grown anyway. And so they got to learn to grow up.
Okay. What's the best treatment for BPD or EDD?
That's what I was asking about the EDD. Which spell that out for me, because I'm wondering what you mean by that.
Sorry.
When it comes to, remember I said that borderline personality had a new name now?
Yeah. Isn't that EUD?
Yeah. So I was wondering if that's what she was meaning. But borderline treatment, I mean, therapy is good, but DBT is probably the best, dialectical behavior therapy. So it's basically teaching you how to handle conflict, manage your emotions, be able to communicate with people better, again, generalizing. And there's a lot of people in the chat that might be able to react to that and speak to it as well, which is more of what I want to do over on 5.me, because it allows me to talk more about mental health. But the best treatment, I mean, therapy helps. And if you have a therapist that understands borderline and knows what it's about, it can help. It doesn't mean you have to have a DBT therapist to do it. It's somebody that's more experienced can handle it. A newer person in the field is probably going to be challenged with it, because there are so many ups and downs, highs and lows. And on our reaction therapy Snapchat page, like it's on Snapchat, it's really cool, because there are a lot of postings on borderline that I've like screenshotted and saved, because it really shows how the emotional moods can go up and down with borderline. It has traditionally been one of the most difficult disorders to treat, meaning it doesn't just erase very quickly. It can take time. I used to remember a study that said 5 to 7 years was a typical course of treatment for it. And it can be a challenge, and typically is genetic. It typically comes down from a parent, but it can be a lot to deal with. And anybody who's been through it, more women than men, typically, statistically, but it can be a lot to manage: mood, emotions, reactions, handling situations, trying to create stability, all of that. But I would definitely look at DBT or a really skilled therapist that you got. The trust is the key, right? With borderline, the trust in the therapist that they can contain you and know how to work with you and know your ins and outs.
Okay, Wyatt, I just did this for you. I'm skipping to the bottom, but it's because Wyatt said, is there a way I can message you personally? I just sent you the link to 5.me/reaction therapy. You can actually go on there and ask a question for free to Tom.
For free? Yeah. I mean, you might wait a little bit to get the answer, because there's more and more questions coming in. If you subscribe to one of the tiers, it's going to help you get kind of pushed up a little quicker on that, and you'll be opened up to all the questions everybody else asks. It's a really cool platform. There's no real way to message. There would be no way. I think I would explode if I just answered questions from everybody on my phone all day. Right?
Yeah. So what he's saying is they let you ask a question for free, but it's not a guarantee that you'll get an answer. But most likely
I'm doing my best. So far, I'm 100%. Like I'm answering everything, but it might take a little bit, upwards of 10 days, 2 weeks to get an answer back. Yeah. If you're on one of the subscription tiers, they go first. I get to those more quickly, and they have more perks to them.
Perfect. Okay. Where was I? I got out of. Appreciate.
I don't know about this.
Francine, honestly. Thank you so much for that. Hey, I found the channel through the NF videos. Love it and what you're doing. Appreciate that. Somebody else mentioned that they were. Okay. What is the most interesting mental health disorder you've treated someone for?
Interesting? Does that mean good interesting or bad interesting?
Either way.
You know, without giving too much away, I had a guy once who believed that
Oh, I've heard this story. I
there
think.
was a family member spirit living in his calf of his leg. And that may not be the most interesting. It just popped into my head right away. Man, that's a great question, because if we just sat and talked about the different kinds of cases I've had, I can't get super specific on people because I can't just reveal everything about everybody.
Yeah.
But I do remember that one, just it stood out. It's like, and really, and the spirit would talk, his family member would talk back to him. And in my session, he would ask, so do you think this, Tom wants to know this? And he would listen, and then he would say, yeah, they said, yeah, it is.
That's crazy.
I know. And it was very interesting.
What did you do in the session? Like, were you just like, were you in shock? Like when he was talking about that?
I'm built on empathy and compassion and understanding, and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to hear more. He believed spiritually, very much so, this was what was actually happening. And who am I to say it is or isn't happening? I just wanted to hear how it was affecting his life, and it was kind of controlling his life, and it was very hard. And so there's a lot. That's really a good question.
Yeah.
We should do that over on 5.
That'd be fun. Adrian, appreciate that. We'll see Nick grow his confidence with his own channel. Go check it out. Rise Up Reactions.
Yep. 1,000 views and subscribers.
How much?
Sari, thank you so much.
Oh, he also said how you can tell his strong parental figures. Said something about how.
Oh my gosh!
Then he said you did good, Tom.
Look at what just popped up.
I
on
know.
my screen.
I'm getting to it. I see it. I don't want to overreact.
You,
we're gonna go on because Tony Stevens, my brother.
I know we're going to eat dinner after this. I can't wait.
I got a.
So look, we need to keep doing this. Like, this is so fun to do.
All right,
answer questions.
I'm gonna try to get through as many as
Just
we can. We don't have a ton.
quick.
Tony, thank you for that donation. We'll see you in just a little bit, and I'm gonna answer your question because he had one too. He had a question: when you have a lot on your plate, how do you handle your mental health? It's important to get everything done, but sometimes my mental health suffers.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's my son Tony. Everybody say shout out Tony. Hi
Shout
Tony.
out.
I know that Adrian said, "What's for dinner, Tony?" Answer them, Tony. Everybody say hi to Tony. He is such a cool
I don't
cat.
even know what it's for. What dinner is. I don't even know.
Answer to your question. A lot of people have this. How do you balance your mental health when you have a ton on your plate? And people ask me that too. Like, you got all this stuff going, Tom. How do you balance that? Scheduling and prioritizing is the key. So prioritizing, number one, is like, what are the top 5 things in your life that are most important? Write them down on paper. You know how many people I look at your list and I'm like, but if I record your life, you're not spending time percentage-wise in those categories the way you list them. If I say my wife is the most important thing to me, I should be categorically, percentage-wise, spending more time and energy with her. If I say my faith is important, my job is important, my yard is important, whatever it is, we many times don't prioritize it the right way. So you want to prioritize what is most important, because sometimes things are going to get left go of. They're going to get dropped off. And if something's got to drop here and I have 5 things to do, but I only have time for 3, what 2 are going to go? And the other thing is scheduling, like planning your life. If you let life take you over, you are going to get run over. So you have to know when you're doing certain meetings, when you have appointments, when you have class, when you have work, when you have quiet time, when you're going to sleep, when you're going to exercise, when you're going to eat. You have to be able to know. And I don't mean in like a military style. Just know what's important and when you're going to do it, and leave flex room in there for when things don't work. Great question, Tony.
Very good. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going.
Long sleeve Ricky. Thank you
so much for that.
Donates 5. Hey, I just saw that. Creterish, Mama Bear, A Piece of Pie, Wedo, Maya, welcome. Please say thank you, Ricky, because Ricky is so kind to donate 5 memberships to this stream. That is really cool.
All right. Let's keep going. I'm sorry if I missed your question. I'm gonna try. What I'm trying to do now is get to new people. So if you had multiple questions, I'm gonna try to get to them, but I want to get to as many different people's questions as possible. Okay, we got that one. Is there a way to get tested for things I should have been tested for as a child, like ADD or autism, or getting therapy without draining the bank account I don't have?
I know. That's what's really hard. Sometimes you can actually go online and find some tests that that are general, that might be able to give you a look at it. I would go to your general doctor first because it's going to be cheapest and easiest. They're general. So psychiatrists deal with medication, right? Psychiatrists are the most well-trained in medication. That's what they do. General doctors are trained kind of in everything generally, but still, it's cheaper, it's easier. I would go there and I would say, you know, I'm feeling these feelings. I wonder if I can try something for my ADD. I did that a while back, and my wife's like, man, this stuff is not, your eyeballs are not looking good, Tom, because apparently it wasn't ADD, even though I think I'm ADD, because I tried some Vyvanse, I tried something else, Focalin, I don't know. And I tried different ones because my insurance paid for it. And I was able to see what worked and what didn't, and go there. If it's depression, if it's anxiety, and a lot of times your general doctor will say, well, I'll prescribe something for you and you can try it out and see what it looks like.
Cool.
Before you go to somebody major.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep going.
Dinner, popcorn and juicery.
That's not a question. Trying to get
Ricky, sorry that happened. If your name's in gray and you don't have a membership, you need to allow membership gifting, which is in the description at the top. One of the links down there that says allow membership gifting. That will help you. If somebody gifts 5 memberships like that, you'll get a chance to get one. If you don't have membership gifting allowed, you will not get a membership. So I want everybody to have a chance.
Okay. From Wyatt, who asked where he could find you on 5. Let's answer Wyatt's question. Can you get PTSD from emotional abuse even recently?
100%. Yes. You got to recognize PTSD is different than the old days of like PTSD.
Yeah.
Trauma happens. There's big T traumas and little T traumas. And big T traumas are the big ones. We have a podcast episode about little T traumas are the smaller ones. And emotional abuse, especially over a prolonged period of time, can be worse and worse because you get you get trained in being treated that way, and your brain starts to have this negative core belief about yourself. And so absolutely you can get that. And that's where some EMDR or just some therapy. The quicker you get help for that stuff, the better it's going to be.
Okay. Any recommendations? This is from Natalia. Shout out Natalia.
Natalia.
In, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right about that? No. Yeah, New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah.
Any recommendations on how to stop skin picking? LOL. Currently cover myself in plasters, but keep picking them off and just keep picking. Any good suggestions about that?
Well, other than the general, I always say with therapy, I mean, you can white knuckle it and squeeze and try the best you can to not do it. But generally and it could be a support group. It could be, somebody who's in your area trained for it. It could be somebody online that you talk to. Just honestly, some help, accountability, support is beneficial because it's somebody you can talk about your feelings to, and it's somebody you can be kind of open up the door to what you've been doing, because most people that are picking aren't feeling great about it and they can't stop. And so that can be more in the compulsive arena. So talking to somebody does help, and being able to have outlets that are other than that. Okay. So being able to occupy your hands in a different way other than that, being able to have something to squeeze, being able to have something to go to that occupies your hands and keeps them busy instead of reaching down to pick. But a lot of people, when they pick, they have scabs, they have scars, and then that enables them to continue to pick. And so the anxiety is going to lead to that. It's very similar to somebody who's like pulling their hair with trichotillomania, or twirling their hair, or, picking, chewing at their nails, and the nails are completely all chewed off. All those kind of things, they're go-to methods. And so you have to be able to commit to yourself. And I always tell people, when anxiety hits, go to a different place, leave where you are, talk to somebody else, put your phone in your hand, text somebody.
That can be for so many different things too. Like that's not just, like I've had a problem with picking my lips. As weird as that sounds, like picking skin off of my lips when I get anxious. That's one thing that I've dealt with before too.
And many people don't know it until after it happens. Like you don't instantly know it when it starts. You just notice you're picking all of a sudden. Yeah. It's just happening.
Shout out to Wyatt for becoming a supporter.
Wyatt!
Appreciate you, and appreciate reaction therapy as well.
5 memberships, reaction therapy, silver. You got it. Tony Stevens gets a membership from reaction therapy. Halo, you got it. Wormy, Spanky, welcome. Good to have you with the fam. That's the beautiful part here. People get more reaction therapy. Go to our membership tab and check out all the links to the reactions we have, and so much more. So cool. Oh, members only live stream on Tuesday, by the way. Y'all need to show up for it.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully early in the morning this Tuesday.
So many good questions, y'all. It happens all the time. The picking happens all the time, and it's an anxiety issue. And what people have to be able to do is get your body trained and your mind trained in a different direction. It's not about every time you see picking, slapping it away or something, old school methods. It's more about recognize what's happening that's got you stressed. Is there something due? Is there something that you've been behind on? Is there something that you're worried about? And just pay attention to that. That's why therapy helps that.
Cool. Okay, this is the last question and then I'm going to go to what's very recent. Wow. Okay. Sorry. Have any suggestions for adults who have recently been diagnosed with a learning disability and working so hard and have considered quitting the last month because of it?
Yeah, well, help. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a therapy help kind of thing. That could be any kind of like social or developmental support or treatment. Because when learning issues come in, it could be the job that you have that's creating that issue, and maybe a different kind of job would actually be helpful for you. But talking to somebody, because this is what I say about kids with ADD, right? And why they need therapy. It's not because they're ADD, it's because they deal with teachers getting on top of them, yelling at them, correcting them, telling them they're doing something wrong all day long. And it's stressful. It's anxiety provoking. So you're listing it right here. It's anxiety provoking. It's stressful. I've considered quitting my job because maybe it's either too challenging, not the best fit for you, or not the best environment with people for you. And so maybe you need a different place with that. But sometimes talking to a therapist or talking to a support person, somebody in a community group, somebody online, in chat rooms that you could find that are supported people you can talk to with whatever issue you have going on can be helpful too. But it's sharing that with other people, learning what other people want to do. And I'm going to tell you the best thing to do is see what job is best for you and what work environment and what people are best for you. And let's look for that.
Cool. Is Tony a suicide? Oh, wait, hold on.
Tony,
but is Tony a
you're
Suicide
welcome.
Boys fan or Lil Peep fan? That's the question. Abby asks, what to do when you crave vaping when you vaped once?
You recognize the craving and you, as quickly as you can, register what the end result is as you keep doing it. In other words, if we recognize the hangover instead of the getting high, people who drink, use drugs, whatever, if all they did was think about the hangover the next day, the headaches, the throwing up, the sickness, they wouldn't ever use. But a lot of people think about the high. And so what you're thinking about is the fix, the dopamine, the charge that happens in your brain. And we have to quickly as you can do, this is what recovering addicts do, is they register, wait a minute, that does sound really good. It's just that it's going to taste really bad later. And so children want to eat a big bowl of candy, right? They know it tastes sweet, it tastes good. And then they eat a big bowl of candy and they get sick and they're like, I don't feel good at all. Well, it's because all they did was think about the good taste of it. They didn't register it's bad. You and I don't go eat a big bowl of candy because we know that's going to get us sick before dinner.
Wyatt, proud of you. He said, here's the thing. I'm happy about someone saved my life in December. I was feeling suicidal, but I talked to someone about it and they helped me reach out.
Very cool. I love that.
It's awesome to hear. Adrian, I remember my elementary school teacher said I wouldn't graduate. Getting my diploma felt 100,000 times better when I did. That's facts right there.
Amen. And I had a high school teacher that told me I'd never pass college English. And here I am with a master's degree. So please don't listen to what people say like that.
All right, here are the last couple questions. Okay. What do you recommend CBT? I've been recommended it, but I don't know what to expect.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Do you recommend
for anything in particular? Yeah, I mean, it's a general treatment approach. It's not for everything. Honestly, it's not for everything. It gets overused a lot. I like people to recognize patterns in their life and where different adjustment, trauma, stress issues happened, and try to go back and correct those as much as possible. Cognitive behavioral, a lot of times, CBT, it band-aids things. And so you learn how to just behaviorally do something different, but it doesn't stop the triggers that happened before or the brain message from it. So it can be good. It just depends on what's going on.
Okay. What about psychedelic assisted therapy or just one abusing or using those substances? Some say they have done what one would call shadow work. Do you think it has any truth to it?
Yeah, I mean, what a big question. That's a big question. I can't really give an opinion. I'm not going to give an opinion on that just because I'm going to say each case is extremely different. But when you look at shadow work and you look at, I think having a trained mental health professional helps, and you look at kind of the shadow side of ourselves. This is, NF kind of talks about this in his music. If you go back to his old music, the shadow side is kind of that dark side, that side of ourselves that we kind of don't look at. We don't want to see. It's a blind spot. And it does help to have a trained person there with you. I'm a little leery of different psychedelic stuff. I'm not going to say it's the best thing just because I'm not sure it's used with people who understand what they're doing with it. I've had some clients do ayahuasca stuff before, which is, oh my goodness, scary to me. But I've heard people who get a lot out of it. I'm not going to sit here and judge it, honestly, because I'm not the knower of everything. You just have to make sure you have a trained professional around you to deal with that shadow work.
Okay, last two. Is Xanax a good medication for anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, it can be. Again, medications are brutally tough because, Nick could take it and then I could take it, and one of us, it doesn't do well at all. And we both have anxiety. But you have to try things and see Xanax, it can be pretty addictive. I mean, a lot of people use that the wrong way a lot of times. Yes, it can be effective if it's watched over carefully and not misused.
Last question from Rachel. I'm concerned with my child's focus. He's having issues. They notice school as well. He is only 9 and I'm unsure about medication. Do you have any other advice in that area that may help him?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't go to medication first for him. I would get a play therapist. So when you're dealing with children under 10, 11 years old, you want, especially 10, 11, you want a registered play therapist if you can get it, an RPT credential after their name. Registered play therapist is just somebody that's been trained and working with children. It doesn't mean they sit here and just play with them all the time. It doesn't have to mean that, but when they're really young, it does. But it's somebody who understands children more in therapy. And a lot of people just sit a child in their office and talk to them. I don't bring 9-year-olds into my office to talk. We have a playroom and we have a tween room that's kind of for that 9 to 13 age group that is chill. It's relaxed. It's got books, games, toys, all kinds of different pillows, stuff like that. You want them, I don't want to do medication before I do therapy just because, or I'd want to do medication with therapy. Same thing, because I don't know how much of it's ADD and how much of it's anxiety. Mm-hmm. Those two look very similar, by the way, with their behaviors that are presented. So if you've seen it at school, sometimes it's a pressure of school. The question is, do you see it outside of school? When summer hits, do you see the same thing? Yeah. If it's ADD, you're going to see it year round, 24/7. Okay. If it's not ADHD, when summer hits and the pressure's off of school, they're going to chill out and relax. It's easier in summer, but a mental health professional can notice that more quickly and can diagnose it more quickly. But medication may be needed, but I'd be very careful to watch for that and see small dose trying into it, but not without therapy. And the therapy part lets him deal with the fact that if he's getting noticed at school, he's probably having stress there too.
All right. This is actually the last question. How do you recommend getting past forgiving emotionally immature parents that you put through a lot growing up? I've struggled with this in the past, but it sometimes haunts me.
By recognizing that people are human, they're limited, and they did the best they can with what they have. That doesn't mean they did the best. But when you recognize they did the best they can with what they have, Nick's going to say that to his therapist one day when he gets married and has children. My parents did the best they could with what they have, but we're not perfect. And so parents don't hit the mark all the time, and not trying to put your evaluator on them. Try to put it on you and recognize, I went through that. I've survived it. I've gotten through it. And now I get to decide how I'm going to live life and what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to live in regret. I'm not going to live in dwelling in the past. I'm not going to live in resentment. So try your best to put kind of what that experience was. Don't forget about it. Reflect, don't dwell. Remember, you want to look back and say, man, some of those things were really tough and I didn't like this and this. This wasn't fair. I didn't like the way I was treated here, but they did the best they could with what they had. And these are the things I want to take from them, and these are the things I don't. And I'm going to be a new person.
Cool. All right.
I'm guessing we might need another live podcast.
We do. Adrian was saying,
should have put a poll out.
I should have waited until after, but y'all are going to get, I have a couple of things I want to say after this episode's over. That's the bonus of being at this live is, we can talk afterwards too. I did want to say that Adrian said he would love to see it like multiple, like.
That'd be cool. And I think also what I'm going to do, since 5.me is out. We have a new platform, 5.me
Yes.
/reaction therapy. That I'm probably going to do a webinar, and that'd be like a Zoom call, which is cool because I get to see people.
Yeah.
A webinar style format where I do just this. If y'all are interested, you can join the free tier. I don't know that you're going to get on the webinar with that. Well, I probably will do some free webinars with that. So that's a platform. Please go to 5.me /reaction therapy. I promise you it is worth it, talking about mental health. And yeah, we're going to do some more of this for sure.
Definitely go there. Now we're going to end this episode right here. Usually on these podcasts, we'll get an extra episode, but there's no extra episode this week. It's just this live podcast. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments, but also go to 5.me. It's the best place.
I won't be able to get them off this chat. I'm just telling you.
It's
Nick
the best.
but I
it's
won't.
the best way to ask Tom a question. If you have a question that you're like, oh, he didn't really cover this in the live podcast, go to 5.me /reaction therapy. Ask your question there. Tom sometimes does video answers. Well, he'll actually video
to
himself talking about it, and that's more than just
Yep.
a chat. So make sure you do that. Go follow all the links that are in our description, all the ones that you see up here. Just go follow all of those right there. We'd appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's
Thank y'all so much for being a part of this. I love doing this. This is just one of many to come. Thanks for being here.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next
Reaction Therapy podcast. Okay, good job, Nick.
We did
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. You were going to say something, though.
Yeah, I saw a comment that said somebody's going to Wyatt said he was going to his like 5th NF concert.
Oh, wow.
This July, and we're going in August. So I guess I was gonna ask which city, but we're in August.
We're gonna be in Fort Worth, Texas in August.
Fort Worth, yeah.
We are still planning on going to see the Suicide Boys in September, beginning of September here in Houston.
Yeah.
And we're going. I saw Anchorage. What's his name? Scarecrow.
Advanced
Scarecrow. We're coming to Anchorage.
We are coming
in July. We're going to be up there for 2 weeks, actually down near Kenai and the Kenai River down there, south, a couple hours south of Anchorage. But we're coming up there this summer for a little visit with our friends. Yeah. And Jill's taking me to Denver for a trip this fall.
See, I had
Colorado.
No idea about that until
never been to Colorado.
I haven't either.
So I'm hoping on these travels, maybe I could run into somebody on these travels.
Dude, I want to go travel and see people too.
North Carolina, Charlotte.
Links, if you have another question, please go to 5.me /reaction therapy. You can ask a question there. That's the best place.
5.me
best place to do it.
/reaction therapy.
And if y'all want us to do this again, just say it.
I love doing it.
If we can get, people that are interested in doing it again.
People want to talk, want to ask, want to comment.
This is fun for us because this is kind of, now that we're doing, we have a members live stream on Tuesday. We have our Twitch live streams Friday. So we don't have a ton of live streams on YouTube just to talk. So we would love to do this more. I think.
Silver, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I love doing this, and I'm really grateful for you. Like, you are the reason we do this at all. And after yesterday dealing with that one video, I'm feeling much more pumped up today.
Really?
Yeah. It's a lot of comments.
Everybody's saying do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, y'all are gonna have to help pump out the rest of our.
Put a like on this.
250,000 people. We got to get more people in here to ask questions.
Yes.
So
I'd love to do that.
Share it to everybody you know. Make sure people don't miss it next time.
Rev, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
We did everything we could to pump it up. So
love it. Sanguine. Why did I say sanguine? Sanguine Skate. Please do this again. I missed it. You got it. 100%. Abby, thank you.
We'll definitely do it. Maybe we'll make it like a once a month thing.
David, thank you. Session. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Love to pick Tom's brain. Tom's brain is
Adrian. I know. I'm going to sit around the table with some people. Have a little, hey, if you're on that top tier of 5.me, they're going to get a Zoom call every month. We're going to have to schedule that now. It's because June it started. So we're going to do a Zoom call, private Zoom call, where the people on the top tier get to sit and talk with me. That's gonna be fun.
And right now,
talk about picking my brain.
There are 3 people right now.
There's
on that
3 people
tier.
on that tier. Just 3 going to get a private Zoom call.
Private Zoom call with. I'm gonna be on there too. I know y'all want to talk to Tom, but
we're just gonna chat about life and things you want to hear about, talk about, know about.
Also, I'll be probably doing a live stream soon on my channel. 'Cause I had 1,000 subscribers on my reaction.
Nick hit
channel.
1,000 subscribers.
Thank you.
Leave me hanging.
I didn't know you were doing that. So hopefully soon I'll be
Ree,
on
thank
there
you.
too.
I do not know. This, I think, is washable, Ree, to answer your question from the very beginning. Nothing has ever chipped off on it at all. I haven't. And on the inside, it's the silver inside anyway. You know, it's not black inside. Just saying.
Links. You can't afford it, which is why I need help. Y'all, you can ask a free question on there. It might take Tom a little bit longer to get to your answer, but he's pretty good about answering them.
Yeah.
So it never hurts to try, because Tom is now Tom is now focused on 5. So it's not like he's ignoring YouTube comments. Like, he's still looking at those, but he's really focusing on 5. Like, how many times a day do you check 5? Probably
4, probably
4 times a day. He checks that. So
when
if you're
I wake up,
asking a
when I go to
question,
bed, and a couple times during the day.
if you're asking a question, even if it's a free question, like, he's most likely going to get
Mind
to
you,
it.
if you're on the free tier, my plan is to answer everybody's.
Yeah.
If you're on the free tier, it might take 2 weeks. One I just did took 10 days from the start of when we did it.
Yeah.
But if you're on the other tiers, they will get prioritized. And it's okay. I'll eventually get to everybody, but it takes time. There's only one me, and I'm doing my best. I'm loving it. That is like my baby.
Yeah, Adrian. If I had the money, I'd buy a house in Texas and hire Tom as my person.
That's so awesome. I would love that. You know, I've actually gotten clients from reaction therapy. A lot of people don't know that,
Yeah,
but I've had
so-
people I talk to now across the world, honestly, that are like, I love what you're doing and I want to see you as a therapist. And boom, it worked. They waited, they got in,
Wyatt
and
said,
I'll fight a bear.
Wyatt said, we'll have to do a private Zoom call. It's on that top tier of 5.me/reaction therapy. You get that every month.
That's right.
you're on
Every
there.
single month.
Jose, what's the word? Where are those hats from? They're on our merch store. You can get them.
We have
some like,
left.
I think we have 6.
More white than black. We have a couple black up there, it looks like.
I think
and
there are
maybe
4 white and 2 black left.
And you know what I'm making? I've got a box going to the monogrammers now with all white, white.
It's all white.
And I'm going to have different colored RTs, blue, red. I'm going to change the colors. I'm going to do a white one that I'm bringing to the NF concert.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a white hat with a white RT, my white hoodie that says NF gives me hope. I'm going to be all NF'd out.
By the way, I'm starting more now to try to get new sayings on the merch store. I know we've kind of just stuck with Mental Health Matters lately. I'm trying to think of new ideas for new merch. So if y'all have any ideas of what slogans we should put, I have a couple already, but definitely want to get y'all.
Go watch 8 Mile, y'all. Thanks for being here. I loved it, Nick. I'm hungry now.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. Thank y'all so much. We really appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to go edit this
Ananops.
podcast and post
Been here
it.
since 50K. Hey, we're hitting 250 Sunday. I thought it was going to be Monday, but now I think it's Sunday.
We're like 300 away.
I really think it's Sunday.
300 subs away, guys.
Because of you. We're going to party. It's probably going to be next weekend, but we're going to party.
Yeah.
Okay?
Man, if it's Sunday, then we might just hop on Sunday night.
Let's do it. We're heading out of town.
Oh, that's right. We won't be
We're
here.
gonna be
We're not
taking
even going
Tony
to
up
be
to
here.
college,
We're not even going to be here to record if we wanted to. When we hit
Brandon, no
250.
requests right now. This was a podcast for us. So no. But you can come back to the member-only live stream if you become a member.
Facts.
Or you can wait till we do another live stream. We do requests. Or you can come on Twitch on Fridays, right, Nick? Twitch.
Yeah.
People got requested. Nick was literally today on Twitch live. He was like, who wants to request them? Go ahead. And he did it for him.
Yeah.
So don't miss the live streams. Thank you, Wyatt. Appreciate you so much.
Record on the road.
Really appreciate you moderating, honestly.
appreciate it.
Like that was a lot.
Y'all don't know this.
Thank you.
Y'all probably don't know this, but Ree is the person every time we're about
good.
to go live,
So
I text
good.
her and I say, "Hey, we're going live. Announce it to Discord." Ree's awesome.
Adrian, thank you. Callie, thank you. Wyatt, appreciate it. David, Abby, gosh, all of y'all. Adrian. Oh gosh, y'all are so good. Ricky. I'm just kind of scrolling through seeing the people that I actually missed. seeing today.
Y'all party when we hit 250. We won't be able to go live, but y'all put in the comments of the video that day or something like 250.
No kidding. I can't wait.
Ree, you're
Tony.
awesome.
Yep. Thank y'all. All of y'all.
All right,
Appreciate it.
guys. Appreciate y'all. We are actually leaving now. I'll let y'all stay and talk. We have this screen where we go away, but y'all can just stay and talk if you want.
Yep.
All right, guys. We appreciate y'all so much. Are you trying? What are you doing? Oh, and we'll see you on the next Reaction Therapy.
Thanks, everybody.